What's going on, everyone? It's Eli with Common Sense, and hopefully you had an amazing week. This week I've been wearing a ton of different fragrances, and I thought I'd just go over 14 of my fragrances that I wore throughout this last week. So stick around, make yourself comfortable, and let's jump right in. Welcome everyone. If you're new to the channel, I'd love to just give you a warm welcome. And this is my weekly fragrance rotation series. So I have quite a few where I kind of dive into the different fragrances that I've been sampling and trying throughout the week. And as always, I'd love to hear what you're wearing down below in the comments. So if you have any new pickups or if you're just obsessed with any fragrances, like I am with some of these, but if you have anything that you're a fan of, leave them down in the comments and I'd love to hear from you. On Monday, I started off with a nice blue, freshy aquatic fragrance. And I've talked about this fragrance quite a lot. It is not a new fragrance, and this one is from Giorgio Armani, and this one is Acqua Di Gio Profondo. So it basically updates the original Acqua Di Gio DNA. It's that nice aquatic, woody, kind of sporty fragrance, and it also has a little bit of a mineralic herbal facet to it, but this one adds a little bit more of an oceanic touch, and it has some really cool musks and kind of mineralic tones in there. It just kind of updates all of the notes, and it makes it smell a lot better in my opinion. And so I've been kind of working my way through this bottle I've had for quite a while. And this one for Monday, I just wanted something sweet, kind of sporty, and that would just put my mind at ease for a nice start to a long week. And that one was Acqua Di Gio Profondo. For some reason on Tuesday, I was in a super dense and sweet, heavy fragrance mood. It was a little bit cooler and I wanted to just try out my new fragrance that I picked up. And this one was Tom Ford's Tobacco Oud. Now this one was discontinued, but on Jomashop, they had some stock pop up. And so you bet I snagged some of this up. And I did post about this in my community tab. So if you're on the hunt for some kind of discontinued fragrances, I will often put some of those announcements there. But this fragrance, oh my goodness, it is so incredible. So it's very similar to the Oud in Tom Ford's Oud Wood, but man, the addition of tobacco makes it smell a little bit sweeter. It's a little bit more smoky and slightly boozy, but the Oud isn't super animalistic, and honestly, I really dig this one. There's also quite a bit of sweetness, so it's almost like a benzoin or a vanilla in here with just a nice kind of leathery tobacco and oud without smelling too overly animalic. And I can't understand why they would have discontinued this one, but for the morning, this one was a really nice treat, and I just loved how I smelled when I wore this one. And then in the evening, I picked out a fragrance from my 40th anniversary discovery set from Amouage that was actually sent from a Scent Explorer discovery kit. So they send a bunch of really cool niche fragrances in their gift bag when you sign up for their online and also in-person event. But I wore King Blue by Amouage, and this stuff is so funky and it is so cool, especially if you love animalistic oud. So this stuff has a very unique quality to it. It smells a little bit fecal and it is animalistic, and it is going to smell a little bit oceanic and mineralic from the ambergris that's used in here. But honestly, it just kind of smells like a sweet raspberry or a sweet fruit mixed with a smoky kind of fecal oud and some really interesting musky sea salt notes in here. But the smokiness, the sweetness, and some of that oudiness, it really is a creative fragrance. And I think at some point I'm going to get a full bottle of this stuff, but I'm going to keep wearing this little decant for the time being. On Wednesday, I went with a new fragrance in my collection. This one is from the house of Syren, and this is Blue Caviar. And I don't know if you can see this, but there are these little pearls on the inside that kind of move around as you move the fragrance bottle. It's kind of cool because I was picking up the fragrance bottle and I was like, what is making that noise? And it's the little crystals in there. This is going to be a very old school style fragrance, so it's going to be a little bit soapy, musky, and it's kind of reminding me a lot of the Dunhill fragrances. So they do a lot of affordable, soapy, fresh fragrances, and this definitely gives me that same vibe. And so this is going to have some really nice kind of aromatherapeutic notes. It's going to be a little bit musky. You have some creamy woods in here, and it also has some note in here that makes it smell a little bit oceanic, and I feel like you do get that kind of caviar note in here, but very musky, very ambery, and it's very fresh. So it's gonna smell sporty, and it's a good cheapie, especially if you can get it for about the $40 mark. I picked this one up from, I think it was a fragrance outlet store, and they had this one on sale for 40 bucks. This was a perfect fragrance for the office because it was sweet. It's perfect for this kind of spring weather, and that one is Blue Caviar by Syren. And after a long day of work, I used this stuff. This is from the house of Attar collection, and this one is Musk Kashmir. And I've talked many times about this fragrance, but I decided to pick it up and just spray it on myself for the first time in a while. And I remember I sprayed it in my hair, and I kid you not, 2 days later, I could still smell it on my hair. So this stuff has a tremendous lasting power. This has a nice kind of marshmallowy sweetness in here, so it's gonna be creamy. It's gonna be a little bit floral from the gardenia and some of the other white florals in here, but it's very musky and very clean with a nice, sweet, just uplifting edge to it. I think this one really is a perfect unisex fragrance, and anybody can wear it, especially if they want to just smell clean and musky, and if they love that initio musk therapy kind of vibe where it's just very sweet, musky, and just very floral. This stuff is really good. And that one is Attar Collection's Musk Kashmir. For Thursday, I went with a fragrance that I haven't shown. This one is Lattafa's Niche Emarati Antique. So these bottle styles, you either love them or you hate them, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about this bottle. This one's got a beautiful creamy coconut. You also have some iris, some cardamom, and some creamy sandalwood, but it really does just smell like a nice high quality niche fragrance, very similar to those two Grise Charnel fragrances. And there's also some green tea in here that makes it smell very clean, very regal and luxurious. And so I did wear this one when I was sitting inside, and I did go out into the heat, and it was a little bit cloying, so I definitely stay away from the super high heat situations with this one. But if you're in an office for most of the day, I think you could definitely pull this off or use it for evening use. But very refined, very smooth, and not like a harsh, screechy Middle Eastern fragrance. And this stuff really is amazing for the price at about the $50 mark, and I really cannot complain with this one. And that one is Lattafa's Niche Emarati Antique. And then in the afternoon, when I got home, I washed my car. I was in the mood for a really nice kind of citrusy summer fragrance, and I went with this one. I went for Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue Summer Vibes. And I gotta say, this stuff is a favorite of mine. It is a staple, and I just love the way that this bottle looks. I mean, look at the cool detailing on this. Now, it's not, you know, hand painted. It is sort of a wrap on the outside, but it still looks and it feels fantastic. This stuff still shares that really nice citrusy opening in the original light blue, and it also has that amber wood, but I think they add a little bit more of a smoky vibe in this one from the cypress. So it smells a little bit more earthy, a little bit more woody, and just a tiny bit more dark than the light blue Eau Intense. I feel like there could also be a little bit more black currant in here, so it definitely has a green kind of herbal vibe, a little bit smoky, but it still smells very refreshing, and it is a perfect summer fragrance if you want something that's just a blind grab fragrance for doing, you know, errands out and about or washing your car like I did. And this stuff is a really good price, and you can get it for about $45 to $50 or so. And that one is Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue Summer Vibes. And then for Friday, I decided to go with a fragrance that I hadn't reached for in quite a while. I went with Bulgari's Acqua Atlantique. Now, this fragrance is so special to me because originally when I bought it, I didn't really like it all that much. I thought the oceanic kind of sea salt and ambergris accords were just way too strong, and now I can really appreciate this one. It basically just smells like a more oceanic and marine take to Versace's Dylan Blue. So that fragrance is a nice, smoky, sweet, citrusy fragrance. It's a little bit more smoky, and I think this definitely borrows some aspects from that. It has some vetiver, it's got some patchouli, sandalwood, but also some really nice, sweet, citrusy notes with a nice bit of oceanic kind of sea salt, sea water, and just some really interesting creative notes in here. I think originally the sweetness was a bit cloying, and I wore this in too hot of weather, but I think if you're in, you know, like the 70s to 80s, this is going to really perform nice, and you maybe only need 1 or 2 sprays because this stuff projects like a beast. And so I think I was kind of choking myself out originally with this stuff, but amazing stuff and really great for this kind of spring to summer transitional weather. And that one is Bulgari's Acqua Atlantique. And then for Friday evening, I went out with some friends. We walked around town, and it was actually really cold outside for some reason. The weather completely changed, and I used that to my advantage. And I went with a really creative cold weather fragrance. And I went with Carner Barcelona's Rose and Dragon. Now, this one was actually recommended by one of my viewers, Sorv, so shout out. Sorv has some really cool fragrance tastes, and I've really been enjoying some of his recommendations, but this one is such an artistic fragrance, and it's got a nice jammy, sweet strawberry with the rose as well. So it's gonna smell smoky. It's got some incense and some leather and saffron, and really just some heavy, dense notes in here. But really, it's a smoky rose jammy fragrance that smells absolutely incredible once you let it settle down for a while. So it is very strong in the opening, and I remember about an hour or so into it, when the wind was blowing against it, I could just smell it, and oh, it was amazing. This one does have a really cool story behind it, and the legend goes that St. George slayed a dragon, and where he struck the dragon with the sword, where the blood was spilled, a rose bush had popped up and kind of sprouted from the ground, and that's basically the story behind this fragrance. So it's definitely a rose-based fragrance with some really nice supporting fruity kind of floral notes in here as well. I feel like I definitely picture this in like a crystal shop, or, you know, some place that sells a bunch of incense. It's just very eclectic, very hippie-like, and I absolutely love this stuff. And so this one was definitely fun to bust out again, and that one was Carner Barcelona's Rose and Dragon. Yesterday, I was super excited because in the morning I got a new fragrance package, and I got this one. This one was Prada's Amber Parfum Intense. I am such a fan of the original Prada Amber Parfum, and I gotta say, this basically takes all of the soapiness. It does remove some of it, but it adds a nice sweet vanillic leather and labdanum. If I were to compare these two, I still think I would pick the original Amber Parfum, but this is definitely a nice upgrade, and it smells a little bit more masculine, so not as soapy as the original. I remember as soon as I sprayed this on my skin, I picked up the note of labdanum, and also some kind of benzoin in there. You could still pick up some of the saffron and frankincense in there, but honestly, the labdanum is very strong in this stuff, so it's gonna smell a little bit leathery, kind of vanillic, but it is very strong and reminds me a lot of the Le Labo Labdanum 18. So it smells almost like you layered the original with this Le Labo. So I wanna say, if you have the original and the Le Labo Labdanum 18, if you layer it, you'll probably get really similar to this fragrance, honestly. The original was such a great fragrance, and I think this is a nice upgrade from it, but I still prefer the original. And that one is Prada's Amber Parfum Intense. In the evening, after a nice hot shower, I went with this fragrance. I went with Maison Alhambra's Grise, and this one is surprisingly hard to find. I remember for a while you could get this at a lot of places, but for some reason the stock on this one is starting to dwindle. So either they had to pull them, or maybe they're just manufacturing more at some point. So I don't know what's going on with that. So it's got that really nice kind of feminine aquatic rose and just nice floral DNA that Dior is known for. They make amazing kind of soapy floral fragrances, and this just screams Dior. I love spraying myself with this, especially straight out of the shower, and that's exactly what I did. I sprayed it all under my clothes and on my hair, and I just smelled incredible. And I was put at ease when I was working on some video stuff and just working on some music. And so this definitely put me into that nice, relaxed, creative state. And that one is Maison Alhambra's Grise. In fact, that stuff got my creative juices flowing so much that I ended up staying up until like 2 o'clock or something, and I slept in, and I just went with a nice, easygoing, sweet, powdery fragrance, and I went with Paris Corner's Killer Oud Revolution. This one is going to be a take on Amouage's Reflection for men, and I gotta say, this stuff smells absolutely incredible. It lasts for a good 2 or so hours, and then it really sits close to your skin. But I knew that I would want to wear something else throughout the day, so I really didn't mind. I just wanted something that I could wear on myself, you know, just for a few hours, and then put something on, you know, the rest of the day. But this stuff really, it smells high quality. It smells very pleasing. It's got that orris, that really nice kind of rooty violet, powdery, sweet vanillic vibe that's in the original Reflection, man. Beautiful stuff here. Only wish that it lasted a little bit longer. It did last a little bit longer on my clothes, so it could just be my skin chemistry, but again, for the $50 or so that I paid for this bottle, you know, you be the judge. But I do enjoy wearing this one from time to time, especially because of how well it smells. And that one was Paris Corner's Killer Oud Revolution. Now, all afternoon, I have been really projecting and smelling amazing because I have been wearing Acqua Di Gio Profondo Parfum. This is not the Eau de Parfum. This is the 2024 Parfum. So this one I got from fragrancebuy.ca, and I'm so happy because look what they did to the cap. Magnetic. Let's go. This has one of the nicest atomizers. Look at how strong this pushes out. beautiful blast of fragrance, and this stuff just takes that really interesting Profondo DNA and it adds a little bit more of a dark twist to it, so it's not going to be as musky or oceanic. It's going to be a little bit darker and a little bit more sweet. So I can't wait to do a full review on this one. So basically take the mineralic and kind of sea salt notes that were in the original Acqua Di Gio Profondo and make it a little bit more sweet, a little bit more dark, and a little bit more refined and more loud from the parfum. So this stuff really did give me good performance. I could smell it radiating off of my wrist and off of my clothes for a good 4 hours later. And I remember I did try some of this on skin right after I got it yesterday, and it lasted a good 10 hours, if not way longer. And it's really good for the price. I think I paid about 80 bucks or so from Fragrance Buy for this 50 ml, but it really does smell amazing. And that one is Acqua Di Gio's Profondo Parfum. So there we go. Those were 14 fragrances that I have been wearing this week. So let me know if you've tried any of these. I'm curious to see if you've tried the Profondo Parfum, because this one's kind of new. I've been seeing people try this one out, and I'm curious to see if you've tried this one. Thank you for watching. As always, I hope you all stay safe. You have an amazing week, and I will see you guys in the next one. I have been Eli with Common Sense. Until the next time, bye-bye. Oh man, if I wore King Blue out in public in 90-degree weather, you would be just killing everybody around you.